There lived in the land of Oz a man of blameless and upright life named Job, who feared God and set his face against wrongdoing. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen and 500 asses, with a large number of slaves. Thus Job was the greatest man in all the East. Now his sons used to foregather and give, each in turn, a feast in his own house. And they used to send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Then, when around the feast was finished, Job sent for his children and sanctified them, rising early in the morning and sacrificing a whole offering for each of them. For he thought that they might somehow have sinned against God and committed blasphemy in their hearts. This he always did. The day came when the members of the court of heaven took their places in the presence of the Lord, and Satan was there among them. The Lord asked him where he had been. Ranging over the earth, he said, from end to end. Then the Lord asked Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? You will find no one like him on earth, a man of blameless and upright life who fears God and sets his face against wrongdoing." Satan answered the Lord, "Has not Job good reason to be God-fearing? Have you not hedged him round on every side with your protection, him and his family and all his possessions? Whatever he does you have blessed, and his herds have increased beyond measure. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and then he will curse you to your face." Then the Lord said to Satan, "So be it. All that he has is in your hands. Only Job himself you must not touch." And Satan left the Lord's presence. When the day came that Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking in the eldest brother's house, a messenger came running to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the asses are grazing near them when the Sabaeans swooped down and carried them off after putting the herdsmen to the sword, and I am the only one to escape and tell the tale." While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived and said, "God's fire flashed from heaven. It struck the sheep and the shepherds and burnt them up, and I am the only one to escape and tell the tale." While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived and said, "The Chaldeans, 3 bands of them, have made a raid on the camels and carried them off after putting the drivers to the sword, and I am the only one to escape and tell the tale." While this man was speaking, yet another arrived and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking in the eldest brother's house, when suddenly a whirlwind swept across the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people and killed them. And I am the only one to escape and tell the tale." At this, Job stood up and rent his cloak. Then he shaved his head and fell prostrate to the ground, saying, "Naked I came to the room, naked I shall return whence I came. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Throughout all this, Job did not sin. He did not charge God with unreason. Once again the day came when the members of the court of heaven took their places in the presence of the Lord, and Satan was there among them. The Lord asked him where he had been. Ranging over the earth, he said, from end to end. Then the Lord asked Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? You will find no one like him on earth, a man of blameless and upright life who fears God and sets his face against wrongdoing. You incited me to ruin him without a cause, but his integrity is still unshaken." Satan answered the Lord, "Skin for skin. If it is nothing the man will grudge to save himself, but stretch out your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and see if he will not curse you to your face." Then the Lord said to Satan, "So be it. He is in your hands, but spare his life." And Satan left the Lord's presence, and he smote Job with running sores from head to foot, so that he took a piece of a broken pot to scratch himself as he sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still unshaken in your integrity? Curse God and die." But he answered, "You talk as any wicked fool of a woman might talk. If we accept good from God, shall we not accept evil?" Throughout all this, Job did not utter one sinful word. When Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, heard of all these calamities which had overtaken him, they left their homes and arranged to come and condole with him and comfort him. But when they first saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him. And they wept aloud, rent their cloaks, and tossed dust into the air over their heads. For 7 days and 7 nights they sat beside him on the ground, and none of them said a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. After this, Job broke silence and cursed the day of his birth.
Perish the day that I was born, and the night which said a man is conceived. May that day turn to darkness. May God above not look for it, nor light of dawn shine on it. May blackness sully it in murk and gloom. Clouds smother that day. Swift darkness eclipse its sun. Blind darkness swallow up that night. Count it not among the days of the year. Reckon it not in the cycle of the months. That night, may it be barren forever. No cry of joy be heard in it. Why was I not stillborn? Why did I not die when I came out of the womb? Why was I ever laid on my mother's knees or put to suck at her breast? Why was I not hidden like an untimely birth, like an infant that has not lived to see the light? For that I should be lying in the quiet grave, asleep in death at rest. Why should the sufferer be born to see the light? Why is life given to men who find it so bitter? They wait for death, but it does not come. They seek it more eagerly than hidden treasure. They are glad when they reach the tomb, and when they come to the grave, they exult. Why should a man be born to wander blindly, hedged in by God on every side? My sighing is all my food, and groans pour from me in a torrent. Every terror that haunted me has caught up with me, and all that I feared has come upon me. There is no peace of mind nor quiet for me. I chafe in torment and have no rest.
If one ventures to speak with you, will you lose patience? Think how you once encouraged those who faltered, how you braced feeble arms, how a word from you upheld the stumblers and put strength into weak knees. But now that adversity comes upon you, you lose patience. It touches you and you are unmanned. Is your religion no comfort to you? Does your blameless life give you no hope? For consider, what innocent man has ever perished? Where have you seen the upright destroyed? This I know, that those who plow mischief and sow trouble reap as they have sown. Mischief does not go to the soil, nor trouble spring from the earth. For my part, I would make my petition to God and lay my cause before him. Happy the man whom God rebukes. Therefore, do not reject the discipline of the Almighty. For though he wounds, he will bind up. The hands of smite will heal. You may meet disaster 6 times, and he will save you 7 times, and no harm shall touch you. In time of famine, he will save you from death. In battle, from the sword. You will know that all is well with your household. You look around your home and find nothing amiss. You will know, too, that your descendants will be many, your offspring like grass, thick upon the earth. You will come in sturdy old age to the grave, as sheaves come in due season to the threshing floor. We have inquired into all this, and so it is. This we have heard, and you may know it for the truth.
Oh, that the grounds for my resentment might be weighed, and my misfortune set with them on the scales, for they would outweigh the sands of the sea. What wonder if my words are wild? The arrows of the Almighty find their mark in me, and their poison soaks into my spirit. God's onslaughts wear me away. Food that should nourish me sticks in my throat, and my bowels rumble with an echoing sound. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant what I hope for, that he would be pleased to crush me, to snatch me away with his hand and cut me off, for that would bring me relief. And in the face of unsparing anguish, I would leap for joy. Have I the strength to wait? What end am I to expect that I should be patient? Is my strength the strength of stone? Is my flesh bronze? Oh, how shall I find help within myself? The power to aid myself is put out of my reach. Tell me plainly, and I will listen in silence. Show me where I have erred. How harsh are the words of the upright man. What do the arguments of wise men prove? Do you mean to argue about words, or to sift the utterance of a man past hope? Would you assail an orphan? Would you hurl yourself on a friend? So now I beg you, turn and look at me. Am I likely to lie to your faces? Think again. Let me have no more injustice. Think again, for my integrity is in question. Months of futility are my portion. Troubled nights are my lot. When I lie down, I think, when will it be day that I may rise? When the evening grows long and I lie down, I do nothing but toss till morning twilight. My body's infested with worms, and scabs cover my skin. My life is but a breath of wind. I shall never again see good days. But I will not hold my peace. I will speak out in the distress of my mind and complain in the bitterness of my soul. I would prefer death to all of my suffering.
How long will you say such things? The long-winded ramblings of an old man. Does God pervert judgment? Does the Almighty pervert justice? Your sons sinned against him, so he left them to be victims of their own iniquity. If only you would seek God and plead for the favor of the Almighty, if you are innocent and upright, then indeed will he watch over you and see your just intent fulfilled. Be sure, God will not spurn the blameless man, nor will he grasp the hand of the wrongdoer.
Indeed, this I know for the truth, that no man can win his case against God. If a man chooses to argue with him, God will not answer one question in 1,000. How much less can I answer him or find words to dispute with him? Though I am right, I get no answer. Though I plead with my accuser for mercy, if he summoned me to court and I responded, I do not believe that he would listen to my plea. For he bears hard upon me for a trifle and rains blows on me without cause. Though I am right, he condemns me out of my own mouth. Though I am blameless, he twists my words. Blameless, I say. I say he destroys blameless and wicked alike. I am sickened of life. I will give free rein to my griefs. I will speak out in bitterness of soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me, but tell me the ground of thy complaint against me. Thy hands gave me shape and made me, and dost thou at once turn and destroy me? Remember that thou didst knead me like clay, and wouldst thou turn me back into dust? Didst thou not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh, knit me together with bones and sinews. Why didst thou bring me out of the womb? Oh, that I had ended there and know I had seen me, that I had been carried from the womb to the grave and were as though I had not been born. Is not my life short and fleeting? Let me be, that I may be happy for a moment before I depart to a land of gloom, a land of deep darkness never to return, a land of gathering shadows, of deepening darkness, lit by no ray of light, dark upon dark.
Should this flood of words not be answered? Must a man of ready tongue be always right? Is your endless talk to reduce men to silence? Are you to talk nonsense and no one rebuke you? You claim that your opinions are sound. You say to God, I am spotless in thy sight. But if only he would speak and open his lips and talk with you and expound to you the secrets of wisdom, for wonderful are its effects. Know then that God exacts from you less than your sin deserves. If only you had directed your heart rightly and spread out your hands to pray to him. If you have wrongdoing in hand, thrust it away. Let no iniquity make its home with you. Then you could hold up your head without fault, a man of iron knowing no fear. Then you will forget your trouble. You remembered only as the floodwaters that have passed. Life will be lasting, bright as noonday. Darkness will be turned to morning. You will be confident because there is hope. Sure protection, you will lie down in confidence, and great men will seek your favor. No doubt you are perfect men, and absolute wisdom is yours. But I have sense as well as you. In nothing do I fall short of you. What gifts indeed have you that others have not? Yet I am a laughing stock to my friend, a laughing stock, though I am innocent and blameless, one that called upon God and he answered. What you know, I also know. In nothing do I fall short of you. But for my part, I would speak with the Almighty and ready argue with God, while you, like fools, are smearing truth with your falsehoods, stitching a patchwork of lies, one and all. Ah, if you would only keep silent and let silence be your wisdom. Your pompous talk is dust and ashes, and your defenses will crumble like clay. Be silent. Leave me to speak my mind, and let what may come upon me. I will put my neck in the noose and take my life in my hands. If he would slay me, I should not hesitate. I should still argue my cause to his face. Be sure of this. Once I have stated my case, I know that I shall be acquitted. Grant me these two conditions only, and then I will not hide myself out of thy sight. Take thy heavy hand clean away from me, and let not fear of thee strike me with dread. Then summon me, and I will answer. Or I will speak first, and do thou answer me. How many iniquities and sins are laid to my charge? Let me know my offenses and my sins. Why dost thou hide thy face and treat me as the enemy? Wilt thou chase a driven leaf? Wilt thou pursue dried chaff, prescribing punishment for me and making me heir to the iniquities of my youth? Man born of woman is short-lived and full of disquiet. He blossoms like a flower, and then he withers. He slips away like a shadow and does not stay. He's like a wineskin that perishes, or a garment that moths have eaten. If a tree is cut down, there is hope that it will sprout again and fresh shoots will not fail. Though its roots grow old in the earth and its stump is dying in the ground, if it scents water, it may break into bud and make new growth like a young plant. But a man dies and he disappears. Man comes to his end, and where is he? As the waters of the lake dwindle, as the river shrinks and runs dry, so mortal man lies down, never to rise, and the very sky splits open. If a man dies, can he live again? He shall never be roused from his sleep. His sons rise to honor, and he sees nothing of it. They sink into obscurity, and he knows it not. Would a man of sense give vent to such foolish notions, or answer with a belly full of wind? Would he bandy useless words and arguments so unprofitable? Well, you even banish the fear of God from your mind, usurping the sole right to speak in his presence. Your iniquity dictates what you say, and deceit is the language of your choice. You are condemned out of your own mouth, not by me. Your own lips give evidence against you. What is frail man that he should be innocent, or any child or woman that he should be justified? If God puts no trust in his holy ones, and the heavens are not innocent in his sight, how much less so is man, who is loathsome and rotten and laps of evil like water? I will tell you if only you will listen. Describe what I have seen, what has been handed down by wise men, and was not concealed from them by their fathers. The wicked are wrecked by anxiety all their days, the ruthless man, for all the years in store for him. Suddenly, a black day is upon him. Distress and anxiety overwhelm him, for he has lifted his hand against God and is pitting himself against the Almighty. His house will be deserted. It will soon become a heap of rubble. He will no longer be rich. His wealth will not last. He will strike the root of the earth. Scorching heat will shrivel his shoots, and his blossom will be shaken off by the wind. He deceives himself, trusting in his high rank, for all his dealings will come to nothing. The godless one and all are barren. They conceive mischief and give birth to trouble, and the child of their womb is deceit. I have heard such things often before. You who make trouble, all of you, with every breath, saying, will this windbag never have done? What makes him so stubborn in argument? If you and I were to change places, I could talk like you, how I could harangue you and wag my head at you. But no, I would speak words of encouragement, and my condolences would flow in streams. If I speak, my pain is not eased. If I am silent, it does not leave me. Meanwhile, my friends weary me with false sympathy. They tear me to pieces, he and his fellows. He has come forward to give evidence against me, the liar. Testifies against me to my face. In his wrath he wears me down. His hatred is plain to see. He grinds his teeth at me. God has left me at the mercy of malefactors and cast me into the clutches of the wicked men. I was at ease, but he set upon me and mauled me, seized me by the neck and worried me. He set me up as his target. His arrows rained up from every side. Pitiless, he cut deep into my vitals. He spilt my gall on the ground. He made breach after breach in my defenses. He fell upon me like a fighting man. I stitched sackcloth together to cover my body. My cheeks were flushed with weeping, and dark shadows were around my eyes. Yet my hands were free from violence, and my prayer was sincere. Let my cry for justice find no rest. Look, my witness is in heaven. There is one on high ready to answer for me. My appeal will come before God while my eyes turn again and again to him. If only there were one to arbitrate between man and God as between a man and his neighbor. For there are but few years to come before I take the road from which I shall not return. My mind is distraught. My days are numbered, and the grave is waiting for me. Wherever I turn, men taunt me, and my day is darkened by their sneers. How soon will you bridle your tongue? Do but think, and then we will talk. What do you mean, treating us as cattle? Are we nothing but brute beasts to you? It is the wicked whose light is extinguished, from whose fire no flame will rekindle. The light fades in his tent. His lamp dies down and fails him. In his iniquity, his steps totter. His disobedience trips him up. He rushes headlong into a net and steps through a hurdle that covers a pit. His heel is caught on a snare, the noose grips him tight. A cord lies hidden in the ground for him, a trap in the path. The terrors of death suddenly beset him and make him piss over his feet. For all his vigor, he is paralyzed with fear. Strong as he is, disaster waits him. Disease eats away his skin. His memory vanishes from the face of the earth. He leaves no name in the world. He is driven from light into darkness and banished from the land of the living. He leaves no issue or offspring among his people, no survivor in his earthly home. In the West, men hear of his doom and are appalled. In the East, they shudder with horror. Such is the fate of the dwellings of evildoers and the homes of those who care nothing for God. How long will you exhaust me and pulverize me with words? Time and time again you've insulted me and shamelessly done me wrong. If in fact I had erred, the error would still be mine. But if indeed you lord it over me and try to justify the reproaches leveled at me, I tell you God himself has put me in the wrong. He has drawn the net round me. He has walled in my path so that I cannot break away. He has hedged in the road before me. He has stripped me of all honor and taken the crown from my head. On every side he beats me down. His anger is out against me. He counts me his enemy. His raiders gather in force and encamp about my tent. My brothers hold aloof from me. My friends are utterly estranged from me. My kinsmen intimates fall away. My retainers have forgotten me. My slave girls treat me as a stranger. I've become an alien in their eyes. I summon my slave, but he does not answer, though I treat him as a favor. My breath is noisome to my wife, and I stink in the nostrils of my own family. Mere children despise me, and when I rise, turn their backs on me. My intimate companions loathe me, and those whom I love have turned against me. My bones stick out through my skin, and I gnaw my underlip with my teeth. Pity me. Pity me. You that are my friends, for the hand of God has touched me. Why do you pursue me as God pursues me? Have you not had your teeth in me long enough? But in my heart, I know that my vindicator lives, and that he will rise last to speak in court. And I shall discern my witness standing at my side and see my defending counsel, even God himself, whom I shall see with my own eyes, I myself and no other. My heart failed me when you said, see what a train of disaster he has brought on himself. The root of the trouble lies in him. Beware of the sword that points at you, the sword that sweeps away all iniquity. For then you will know that there is a judge. My distress of mind forces me to reply, and that is why I hasten to speak. I have heard arguments that are a reproach to me. A spirit beyond my understanding gives me the answers. Surely you know that this has been so since time began, since man was first set on the earth. The triumph of the wicked is short-lived. The glee of the godless lasts but a moment. Though he stands high as heaven and his head touches the clouds, he will be swept utterly away like his own dung. And all that saw him will say, where is he? Darkness unrelieved awaits him. A fire that needs no fanning will consume him. A flood will sweep over his house, rushing waters on the day of wrath. Such is God's reward for the wicked man, and the lot appointed for the rebel by God. Listen to me. Do but listen, and let that be the comfort you offer me. Bear with me while I have my say. Have not I as good cause to be impatient? Look at my plight, and be aghast. When I stop to think, I am filled with horror, my whole body is convulsed. Why do the wicked enjoy long life, hale in old age and great and powerful? They live to see their children settled, their kinsfolk and descendants flourishing. Their families are secure and safe. The rod of God's justice has not reached them. Their bull mounts and fails not of its purpose. Their cows calve and do not miscarry. Their children like lambs are out to play. Their little ones skip and dance. They rejoice with tambourine and harp and make merry to the sound of the flute.
Their lives close in prosperity and they go down to Sheol in peace. They say to God, leave us alone. We do not want to know your ways. What is the Almighty that we should worship him? Or what should we gain by seeking his favor? How often is the lamp of the wicked snuffed out? And how often does their ruin come upon them? How often does God in his anger deal out suffering, bringing it in full measure to whom he will? How often is that wicked man like a wisp of straw before the wind, like chaff which the storm wind whirls away? You say the trouble he's earned, God will keep for his sons. No, let him be paid for it in full and be punished. Let his own icy damnation come upon him, and the wrath of the Almighty be the cup he drinks. One man, I tell you, dies crowned with success, lapped in security and comfort, his loins full of vigor and the marrow juice in his bones. Another dies in bitterness of soul and never tastes prosperity. Side by side they laid in the earth, and worms are the shroud of both. The wicked is spared when disaster comes and conveyed to safety before the day of wrath. No one denounces his conduct to his face. No one requites him for what he has done. When he is carried to the grave, the whole world escorts him before and behind. The dust of the earth is sweet to him, and thousands keep watch at his tomb. How futile then is the comfort you offer me. How false your answers ring.
Can man be any benefit to God? Can even a wise man benefit him? Is it an asset to the Almighty if you are righteous? Does he gain if your conduct is perfect? Do not think that he reproves you because you are pious. Don't in this count he brings you to trial. No. It is because you are a very wicked man, and your depravity passes all bounds. Come to terms with God, and you will prosper. That is the way to mend your fortune. If you come back to the Almighty in true sincerity, if you banish wrongdoing from your home, if you treat your precious metal as dust, then the Almighty himself will be your precious metal. He will be your silver in double measure. Then, with your trust in the Almighty, you will raise your face to God. You will pray to him and he will hear you, and you will have cause to fulfill your vows. In all your designs you will succeed, and light will shine on your path. He will deliver the innocent, and you will be delivered because your hands are clean.
My thoughts today are resentful, for God's hand is heavy on me in my trouble. If only I knew how to find him out in his court, I would state my case before him and set out my arguments in full. Then should I learn what answer he would give and find out what he had to say. Would he exert his great power to browbeat me? No. God himself would never bring a charge against me. There the upright are vindicated before him, and I shall win from my judge an absolute discharge. If I go forward, he is not there. If backward, I cannot find him. When I turn left, I do not discern him. I face right, but I see him not. But he knows me in action at rest. When he tests me, I prove to be gold. My feet have kept to the path he has set me. I have followed his way and have not turned from it. I do not ignore the commands that come from his lips. I have stored in my heart what he says. I am fearful of meeting him. When I think about him, I am afraid. It is God who makes me faint-hearted, and the Almighty who fills me with fear. Yet I am not reduced to silence by the darkness, nor by the mystery which hides him.
How then can a man be justified in God's sight, or one born of woman be innocent? If the circling moon is found wanting, and the stars are not innocent in eyes, much more so man is but a maggot, mortal man, who is only a worm.
What help you have given to the man without resources. What deliverance you have brought to the powerless. What counsel you offer to a man at his wit's end. Who has prompted you to say such things? Whose spirit is expressed in your speech?
This is the lot prescribed by God for the wicked, and the ruthless man's reward from the Almighty.
He may have many sons, but they will fall by the sword, and his offspring will go hungry. The survivors will be brought to the grave by pestilence, and no widows will weep for them. He may heap up silver like dirt and get himself piles of clothes. He may get them, but the righteous will wear them, and his silver will be shared among the innocent. The house he builds is flimsy as a bird's nest, or as a shelter put up by a watchman. He may lie down rich one day, but never again. He opens his eyes, and all is gone. Disaster overtakes him like a flood. A storm snatches him away in the night. The east wind lifts him up, and he is gone. I swear by God who has denied me justice, and by the Almighty who has filled me with bitterness, so long as there is any life left in me and God's breath is in my nostrils, no untrue word shall pass my lips, and my tongue shall utter no falsehood. God forbid that I should allow you to be right. Until death I will not abandon my claim to innocence. I will maintain the rightness of my cause. I will never give up. So long as I live, I will not change. If I could only go back to the old days, to the time when God was watching over me, when his lamp shone above my head, and by its light I walked through the darkness. If I could be as the days of my prime when God protected my home, oh, the Almighty was still there at my side, and my servants stood round me. Oh, my path flowed with milk, and the rock streamed oil. If I went through the gate of the town to take my seat in the public square, young men saw me and kept out of sight. Old men rose to their feet. Men in authority broke off their talk and put their hands to their lips. The voices of the nobles died away, and every man held his tongue. They listened to me expectantly and waited in silence for my opinion. When I had spoken, no one spoke again. My words fell gently on them. They waited for them as for rain, and drank them in like showers in spring. When I smiled on them, they took heart. When my face lit up, they lost their gloomy looks. I presided over them, planning their course like a king encamped with his troops. Whoever heard of me spoke in my favor, and those who saw me bore witness to my merit. I was saved the poor man when he called for help, and the orphan who had no protector. The man threatened with ruin blessed me, and amid the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness like a garment, and it clothed me. Justice like a cloak or turban wrapped me round. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I took up the stranger's cause. I broke the fangs of the evildoer and rescued the prey from his teeth. I thought, I shall die with my powers unimpaired and my days uncounted as the grains of sand, with my roots spreading out to the water and the dew lying on my branches, with the bow always new in my grasp and the arrow ever ready to my hand. But now, I am laughed to scorn by men of a younger generation, men whose fathers I would have disdained to put with the dogs who kept my flock. So now my soul is in turmoil within me, and misery has me daily in its grip. By night, pain pierces my very bones, and there is ceaseless throbbing in my veins. My garments are all besplattered with my phlegm, which chokes me like the collar of a shirt. God himself has flung me down in the mud, no better than dust or ashes. Yet no beggar held out his hand, but was relieved by me in his distress. Did not I weep for the man whose life was hard? Did not my heart grieve for the poor? Evil has come, though I expected good. I looked for light, but there came darkness. My bowels are infirm and know no peace. Days of misery stretch out before me. I go about dejected and friendless. I rise in the assembly only to appeal for help.
My blackened skin peels off, and my body is scorched by the heat. My harp has been tuned for a dirge, my flute to the voice of those who weep. What is the lot prescribed by God above? The reward from the Almighty on high. Is not ruin prescribed for the evildoer and calamity for the wrongdoer? Yet does not God himself see my ways and count my every step? I swear I have had no dealing with falsehood, and have not embarked in the course of deceit. I have come to terms with my eyes never to take notice of a girl. Let God weigh me in the scales of justice, and he will know that I am innocent. If my steps are wandered from the way, if my heart has followed my eyes, or any dirt stuck to my hand, may another eat what I sow, and may my crops be pulled up by the root. If my heart has been enticed by woman, or I have lain and waited at my neighbor's door, may my wife be another man's slave, and may other men enjoy her. If I have ever rejected the plea of my slave or of my slave girl when they brought their complaint to me, what shall I do if God appears? Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same God create us in the belly? If I have withheld their needs of the poor, let the widow's eye grow dim with tears. If I have eaten my crust alone, and the orphan has not shared it with me, the orphan who from boyhood honored me like a father, whom I guided from the day of his birth. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or a poor man with nothing to cover him, if his body had no cause to bless me because he was not kept warm with a fleece for my flock, if I have raised my hand against the innocent, knowing that men would side with me in court, then may my shoulder blade be torn from my shoulder, my arm be wrenched out of its socket. If I have put my faith in gold, or my trust in the gold of Nubia, if I rejoice in my great wealth and the increase of riches, if I ever looked in the sun and splendor, the moon moving in her glory, and was led astray in my secret heart and raised my hand in homage, this would have been an offense before the law, for I should have been faithful to God on high. If my land has cried out and reproached at me, and its furrows have joined in weeping, if I have eaten of its produce without payment and disappointed my creditors, may thistles spring up instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. Have I rejoiced at the ruin of the man that hated me, or been filled with malice when trouble overtook him? Have the men of my household never said, let none of us speak ill of him? No stranger spent the night in the street, for I have kept open house for the traveler. Have I ever concealed my misdeeds as men do, keeping my guilt to myself, because I feared the gossip of the town or dreaded the scorn of my fellow citizens? Let me but call a witness in my defense. Let the Almighty state his case against me. If my accuser had written out his indictment, I would not keep silence and remain indoors. No, I would flaunt it on my shoulder and wear like a crown on my head. I would plead the whole record of my life and present that in court as my defense.
So these three men gave up answering Job, for he continued to think himself righteous.
Then Elihu grew angry,
Angry because Job had made himself out more righteous than God,
and angry with the three friends
because they had found no answer to Job and had let God appear wrong. Now Elihu had hung back while they were talking with Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that the three had no answer, he could no longer contain his anger. So Elihu began to speak.
I'm young in years. You are old. That is why I held back
And shrank from displaying my knowledge in front of you. I said to myself, let age speak and length of years expound wisdom. But it's not only the old who are wise, or the aged who understand what is right. Therefore I say, listen to me. I too will display my knowledge. Look, I've been waiting upon your words, listening for the conclusion of your thoughts while you sought for phrases. I've been giving thought to your conclusions, but not one of you refutes Job or answers his arguments. Take care then not to claim that you have found wisdom. I will not string words together like you or answer them as you have done.
I too have a fertile plow. I will express my opinion, for I am bursting with words. A belly full of wind grips me. My stomach is distended as if with wine, bulging like a blacksmith's bellows. I must speak to find relief. I must open my mouth and answer, and I will show no favor to anyone. Come now, Job, listen to my words. Attend carefully to everything I say. Look, I'm ready to answer. The words are on the tip of my tongue. My heart assures me that I speak with knowledge and that my lips speak with sincerity. Answer me if you can. Marshal your arguments and confront me. In God's sight, I am just what you are. I too am only a handful of clay. Fear of me need not abash you, nor any pressure from me overawe you. You've had your say, and I've heard you. I've listened to the sound of your words. I'm innocent, you said, and free from offense, blameless and without guilt. Yet, God finds occasion to put me in the wrong. He counts me his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks. He keeps a close watch on all I do. Well, this is my answer. You are wrong. Listen, Job, and attend to me. Keep silence, and I will teach you wisdom. Mark my words, you wise men, you men of long experience, listen to me. Job has said I'm innocent, but God has deprived me of justice. He has falsified my case. My state is desperate, yet I have done no wrong. Was ever a man like Job with his thirst for irreverent talk? For he says that it brings a man no profit to find favor with God. But listen to me, you men of good sense. Far be it from God to do evil or for the Almighty to play false. For he pays a man according to his work and sees that he gets what his conduct deserves. The truth is, God does no wrong. The Almighty does not pervert justice. Now, Job, if you have the wit, consider this. Can it be that a hater of justice holds the reins? Do you disparage a sovereign whose rule is so fair, who does not show special favor to those in office and thinks no more of rich than of poor? He breaks the powerful and sets up others in their place. For their crimes he strikes them down and makes them disgorge their bloated wealth, because they have ceased to obey him and pay no heed to his ways. Suppose you were to say to God, I have overstepped the mark. I will do no more mischief. Vile wretch that I am, be thou my guide. Whatever wrong I have done, I will do wrong no more. Will he at these words condone your rejection of him? It is for you to decide, not me, but what can you answer? Men of good sense will say. Any intelligent hearer will tell me Job talks with no knowledge. There's no sense in what he says. He is a sinner and a rebel as well, with his endless ranting against God. Be patient a little longer, and let me enlighten you. There's still something more to be said on God's side. I will search far and wide to support my conclusions as I defend the justice of my Maker. There are no flaws in my reasoning. Before you stands one whose conclusions are sound. God, I say, repudiates the high and mighty and does not let the wicked prosper. He towers in majesty above us. Who wields such sovereign power as he? Can any man read the secret of the sailing clouds, stretched like a carpet under his pavilion? See how iron rolls the mists across the waters, and its streamers cover the sea. He charges the thunderbolts with flame and launches them straight at the mark. In his anger he calls up the tempest, and the thunder is a herald of its coming. Listen. Listen to the thunder of God's voice and the rumbling of his utterance. Under the vault of heaven he lets it roll, and his lightning reaches the ends of the earth. There follows a sound of roaring as he thunders the voice of majesty. God's voice is marvelous in its working. He does great deeds that pass our knowledge. For he says to the snow, fall to the earth, and to the rainstorms, be fierce. And when his voice is heard, the floods of rain pour down unchecked. He gives through the dense clouds their load of moisture. The clouds spread his mists abroad as they travel round in their courses, steered by his guiding hand to do his bidding all over the habitable world. Listen, Job, to this argument. Stand still and consider God's wonderful works. The Almighty we cannot find. His power is beyond our ken, and his righteousness not slow to do justice. Therefore mortal men pay him reverence.
and all who are wise look to him.
Who is this whose ignorant words cloud my design in darkness? Job, brace yourself and stand up like a man. I will ask questions and you shall answer. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundations? Tell me if you know and understand. Who settled its dimensions? Surely you should know. Who stretched his measuring line over it? On what do its supporting pillars rest? Who set its cornerstone in place when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted aloud? Who watched over the birth of the sea when it burst in flood from the womb? When I wrapped it in a blanket of cloud and cradled it in fog? When I established its bounds, fixing its doors and bars in place, and said, thus far shall you come and no farther, and here your surging waves shall halt. In all your life, have you ever called up the dawn or shown the morning its place? Have you descended to the springs of the sea or walked in the unfathomable deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you ever seen the doorkeepers of the place of dark? Have you comprehended the vast expanse of the world? Come, tell me all this if you know. Which is the way to the home of light, and where does darkness dwell? And can you then take each to its appointed bound and escort it on its homeward path? Doubtless you know all this, for you were born already, so long as the span of your life. Have you visited the storehouse of the snow, or seen the arsenal where hail is stored, which I have kept ready for the day of calamity, for war, and for the hour of battle? By what paths is the heat spread abroad, or the east wind carried far and wide over the earth? Who has cut channels for the downpour and cleared a passage for the thunderstorm, for rain to fall on land where no man lives and on the deserted wilderness, clothing lands waste and derelict with green and making grass grow on thirsty ground? Has the rain a father? Who sired the drops of dew? Whose womb gave birth to the ice? And who was the mother of the frost from heaven, which lays a stony cover over the waters and freezes the expanse of ocean? Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades or loose Orion's belt? Can you bring out the signs of the zodiac in their season, or guide Aldebaran in its train? Did you proclaim the rules that govern the heavens, or determine the laws of nature on earth? Can you command the dense clouds to cover you with their weight of waters? If you bid lightning speed on its way, will it say to you, I'm ready? Who put wisdom in the depths of darkness and veiled understanding in secrecy? Who is wise enough to marshal the rain clouds and empty the cisterns of heaven when the dusty soil sits hard as iron and the clouds of earth cling together? Who provides the raven with its quarry when its fledgling croak for lack of food? Do you know when the mountain goats are born, or attend the wild doe when she is in labor? Do you count the months that they carry their young, or know the time of their delivery, when they crouch down to open their wombs and bring their offspring to birth, when the fawns grow and thrive in the open forest? Did you give the horse his strength? Did you clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him quiver like a locust's wings when his shrill neighing strikes terror? Does your skill teach the hawk to use its pinions and spread its wings towards the south? Do you instruct the vulture to fly high and build its nest aloft? Is it for a man who disputes with the Almighty to be stubborn? Should he that argues with God answer back?
I know that thou canst do all things, and that no purpose is beyond thee. But I have spoken of great things which I have not understood, things too wonderful for me to know. Then I knew of thee only by report, but now I see thee with my own eyes. Therefore, I melt away. I repent in dust and ashes.
When the Lord had finished speaking to Job, he said to Eliphaz, I'm angry with you and your two friends, because you have not spoken as you ought about me, as my servant Job has done. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams. Go to my servant Job and offer a whole offering for yourselves, and he will intercede for you. Then Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar went and carried out the Lord's command. And the Lord showed favor to Job when he had interceded for his friends. So the Lord restored Job's fortunes and doubled all his possessions. Then all Job's brothers and sisters and former acquaintances came and feasted with him in his home. And they consoled and comforted him for all the misfortunes which the Lord had brought on him. And each of them gave him a sheep and a gold ring. Furthermore, the Lord blessed the end of Job's life more than the beginning. And he had 14,000 head of small cattle and 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and as many she-asses. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he named his eldest daughter Jemimah. There were no women in all the world so beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them an inheritance with their brothers. Thereafter, Job lived another 140 years. He saw his sons and grandsons to 4 generations, and he died at a very great age.